It's a 9 p.m. tip. Everybody, put on a big pot of coffee and lock in. It's going to be a long night.
Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats pregame show, live from Studio K, presented by our friends over at Circle K. It is I, your host, Damon Fairall, aka Damon Dog. That's my guy, Kevo, host, aka Kevin Thomas. And of course, we are the AZ Wildcats podcast here from PHNX HQ3 in downtown Phoenix. And we are here to bring you some pregame coverage for Arizona, number 2 team in the country, taking on Colorado, the Buffs. Tad Boyle, an old rival of this program for many years, somehow, some way, still kicking it, still breathing. There's still a pulse, Kevin, on Tad Boyle, despite, irrelevancy for a solid half decade now. But Arizona plays Colorado, Big 12 finale, not exactly the toughest of competition, especially not what I think Arizona fans have been used to in the last stretch of games, the way that they backloaded this schedule. But in that backloading of the schedule, they did put Colorado as the last game of the season for the Wildcats. Thankfully, conference already sweeped up. Arizona's got it done. This game means really nothing in the grand scheme of things, except for pride reasons, and you don't want to lose to a team as bad as Colorado. Kevin, how are you taking this one all in? How was, basically your entire Saturday to this point? It's 8:30 p.m., so you got to have your whole morning, afternoon, even a little bit into the evening here before talking some Wildcats hoops tonight with me, and then we get some basketball to cover.
Man, I'm excited for this one, Damon, mostly because there's a little bit of program history on the line, as you and I have discussed many a time off air. If Arizona wins this game, they finally become the first team in program history to win 29 games in a regular season. 28 has been done a handful of times, but 29 has never been accomplished, and that's a big deal. I think it would be another, feather in the cap for this year's team of being just truly historic, and I think that is something to appreciate. And furthermore, it is a game against Colorado to end the year. You're not like a BYU going up against Texas Tech tonight, where you're going to have to put your A game out there, and if you don't, you might get caught. Arizona is in a position where you might actually see the bench unit get in this game somewhat earlier than maybe you would if Arizona faced Colorado in the middle of the season, right? So that is a good opportunity for Arizona to get some rest, additional rest, heading into the Big 12 tournament. But, yeah, like you said, you say this game is meaningless, and that is true, right? That is somewhat true if you win, right? You saw, now this is to different degrees, but you saw UConn go down against Marquette today, right? And now UConn has lost their right to a first seed. There might not be a first seed anymore because of that loss.
Well, they lost more than just a 1 seed. They also lost the Big East in the process.
Correct.
Did they not? I mean, didn't
St.
John's win the Big East because of that game? Like, Arizona's the reason I say that, Kevin, and maybe you disagree with me, but I think Arizona's locked in as a 1 no matter what, even if they do lose this game. How could you take the Big 12's top team and not give them a 1 seed in this tournament when they have 3 losses on the season? Despite, admittedly, this would be a horrific loss, one of the worst losses of any, top tier team in the country this season. But I still think the resume is strong enough where I think it's an undeniable 1 seed team.
I do, but don't you just want to be like the truly like unanimous, unarguable team?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to have that, you don't want to kill this momentum. Sure. Heading into the biggest time of the year. So I do think that this game does mean something, because if you do lose, everyone's going to be up in arms, freaking the hell out.
Well, that's
right? So you want to take it extremely serious because you want to keep momentum going. You know what I mean? So you say it's meaningless until they start tripping up and Colorado makes it close, and all of a sudden it seems like it means a lot to people on Twitter who are going to be like, this team sucks. They're going to choke first round exit. So I do want to see some dominance tonight, so you can just handle business and get on with a Big 12 tournament.
Yeah, I think I meant meaningless in the grand scheme of how it will affect Arizona. You're still Big 12 champions. You're still going to get a 1 seed, in my opinion, no matter what. And the ultimate goal of winning in the NCAA tournament doesn't change. I do agree with you that it will halt momentum, and I do agree with you that it will cause the sky is falling people to freak out. I mean, I put my hand up there, Kevin, because I'm envisioning a world where Colorado's keeping it close. You're sitting in back here watching the game instead of in the viewing area with me because you're like, I just got to get away from that crazy person. Because I'm sitting there looking at you going, Kevin, is this team a second round exit in March? And you're like, I can't deal with Damon right now. So I get it. Like I'll be the first guy in line probably, doomsday, because that's just kind of how my nature is built. But I do think that, this ultimately game, is reasonably unimportant. And that being said, Arizona should show Colorado levels tonight regardless. Like, I think the one thing that it would give me some doubts about would be that a team that's a lot worse than Arizona would be able to knock Arizona off and upset the Cats in an NCAA tournament, which we haven't really seen so far this season. I mean, I know you lose to Texas Tech and you're better than Texas Tech, but that's a team that's shown that they can beat anybody. Literally everybody.
Yeah.
You also lost at the single hardest place to play in the entire country when it's popping, and it was a big Monday game in which Bill Self is now 41-0 in those games. So quite literally, no one wins there. So it's like I feel like, Arizona has to this point shown zero cracks against teams that are 100% inferior to them. And yeah, a loss or a close game to Colorado might make me raise my eyebrows a little bit, but that would be the extent of it. Do you hear what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah, I definitely do. And speaking of what's going on around the Big 12, Colorado, Arizona, this is the nightcap for the night, obviously 9 p.m. tip-off, but there is another game tipping off here shortly, I think. Texas Tech, BYU, I already mentioned it earlier. That's going to be on ESPN. Arizona's going to be on ESPN2 tonight. Now,
damn, relegated.
Yeah, but I get it. I mean, Colorado versus, I get it. I do get it.
Isaiah Johnson ball.
Yeah, Isaiah Johnson ball. That is fair. But
future Cat.
Looking around the Big 12, Arizona State put up a good fight for about 8 minutes. No, that's not fair. They put up a good fight for the whole first half. They went into the half with a pretty good run there to end it. But Iowa State in the second half just ended it for that 86-65 in that one. And we're going to get into this in the post game, but we got a classic Bobby Hurley crash out today, and it was pretty beautiful. Houston 82-75 over Oklahoma State after they struggled for the majority of that game, and it looked like maybe Oklahoma State could get one over on Houston to end the year, but that was not to be true. And then, we talk about PJ Haggerty and him being on Kansas State and that not being the best situation for maybe winning. And we were right, because today 104-85 was the score of that game between Kansas and Kansas State. Darren Peterson looks all the way healthy in terms of when you're playing against Kansas State. So we'll see if that lasts for the Big 12 tournament and beyond. But he looked incredible in that game. Cincinnati loses to TCU by 10 in a matchup of teams that have been really going through war to end the Big 12 season. And then Baylor puts belt to Utah. And that is your Big 12 scoreboard update heading into tonight.
Keep Baylor as far away from my side of the bracket as possible. That's, I do agree with our guy Brian Edwards in the chat who hit us up over the weekend in regards to Baylor leading against Houston and was just like, guys, this is why I said that Baylor's probably a C-tier team. And I think to which I said, you know what, I like agree, talent-wise, I agree. I don't see how you could really disagree. The current level of basketball would prove that as well, but they still finished the conference 6-12. I mean, it's a despicable record, and I feel like you have to be ranked accordingly. But that being said, like, that's a team that, I really think that they might be like the dark horse Big 12 kind of team here to try to like steal a tournament bid, more so than, an Oklahoma State or a West Virginia or these other teams that are on the peripheral that might need to like make a run here to actually be selected by the committee. They might need that automatic selection. So I'll be curious to see how Baylor performs. And like I said, I hope it's not on my side of the bracket.
Yeah, no, that is fair. I replied to a tweet from Sam Vecini the other day. He was talking about Cincinnati being very dangerous and not being a team you really want to face right now. And I was saying there's not a single Big 12 team that I would want to face if I was in a tournament setting, in a one-game elimination setting. There's not a single Big 12 team that I'm comfortable facing. But Arizona is certainly at the top of that list. What?
ASU?
Well, I mean, you got to make it first. You got to make it to the tournament first. Either way.
I got you. Tournament teams, not in the Big 12.
No, yeah, we were saying, like, when you make it to the tournament, there's really, like, no Big 12 team that you're going to be like, oh, I'm comfortable facing this team. There really is not that squad. So, yeah, I mean, that is your Big 12 update, but Arizona is at the top of those teams that you would not want to face if you are in a one-game elimination scenario, even a 7-game elimination scenario. Arizona looks like the team to be reckoned with. Damon and I are going to break down the rest of this Arizona versus Colorado matchup and maybe fire off some shots with our friends over at Casamigos after our first break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. So leave a like, stick around, do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Now, Damon, today there's a lot of basketball on, there's a lot of fights on, but this morning I was watching Phoenix Raceway. I was watching NASCAR and NTT IndyCar, and that is the true thing. I had the multi-view up. I had college basketball. I think it was World Baseball Classic, like highlights, like a desk show going on. College basketball, NTT IndyCar, NASCAR. Now, the action looked incredible. I can only imagine if I was in the vicinity of these cars, these machines moving at super high speeds. And for the first time ever, you can see NASCAR, NTT IndyCar racing during the same weekend. This weekend, only one more day, so pretty much March 7th through March 8th at this point, but you can still secure your seats at the link in our show notes below. And like I said, this is a true once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. NTT IndyCar, NASCAR, same weekend. It looked like an absolutely electric environment. Get your tickets for tomorrow in our show notes below.
Kevin, I know if you make it out to the Phoenix Raceway, out there, it's always a great weekend, but it's always also a hot weekend, and you're going to need some shades with you, and that's why I'm bringing my friends over at Shady Rays. When I actually did make my way to Phoenix Raceway, I did bring my Shady Rays. There is proof of this out there on the internet, and that's because Shady Rays are so stylish, so comfortable, and of course, they have the best lost and broken replacement policy in all of eyewear. It's my favorite thing about Shady Rays, and how could you not love it? I mean, we all know how bad that feeling is when you lose a pair of sunglasses, when you break a pair of sunglasses, and you're like, not again. I know that I personally am like a big lose your sunglasses guy. I always know exactly where I lost my sunglasses, but it's too late to get them back. But if you hit up the Shady Rays support staff, I promise you, they will find you a way to send in a brand new pair. Even if they've like gone out of that style, they'll say, okay, well, what else do you want? Find a new style. It's guaranteed to be there and last you a lifetime there because of that lifetime warranty. I know our guy Kobe, who peruses the chat often, one time was in the middle of our show. I mentioned the lost and broken replacement policy. He went and hit up Shady Rays support, and they got him a new pair on the way by the time that the show was even over. So guys, that's the kind of customer support we're talking with Shady Rays. That's the kind of protection policy that you can come to expect when you lose or break a pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. No questions asked. It's the eyewear that has your back. Go to shadyrays.com and use promo code PHNXSR for 40% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's PHNXSR.
Now, you're going to want to use that promo code with our friends over at Shady Rays at PHNXSR. And you're also going to want to check out our friends over at Casamigos because the whole graphic situation, we're still under construction there, but we do have the Casamigos in hand, and it is time for the air horn, and it is time to fire some shots. So, without further ado, let's do that. Now, look, Damon, I will say this much. It was pretty easy for me. There was a lot of things to pick from today, and this has nothing to do with the Colorado Buffaloes for my shots fired today. I have no beef with what's that on his face. Oh, my God, it's Tad Boyle. I have no beef with Isaiah Johnson. I have no beef with Doc. I have no beef with any of those dudes over there at Colorado. But Jay Williams today was on College Game Day, as he usually is, and he was at Duke, which is where College Game Day was at today for Duke UNC. And they were talking about which teams had the best chance to make a run. So, they're going to try to shoehorn Michigan, try to shoehorn Duke into this conversation. And Arizona is going to be the odd one out. But today he fixed his mouth and said he thinks Arizona is the most susceptible to a flame out in the tournament because of their propensity to have scoring droughts. He's worried about Arizona's offense. And my question to Jay Williams is, you'd think that if a team can't score, if they have a high susceptibility to droughts, they're not going to be the 8th best offense in the country per KenPom. Surely they would have allowed more than one kill shot if they're not scoring for such long period. They've allowed the tied for the least amount in the because teams don't go on runs against. So actually they may be the least susceptible team to a scoring drought because they don't let teams go on runs themselves. Interesting. Also, Jay Williams, is this you? Oh, that is you. Just mere weeks ago, doing exactly that, Damon. Where am I at? Tucson, Arizona. How can I get my pandering ass on ESPN and do what I got to do to make people not hate me as I'm stuck in this arena for the next 8 hours of my life?
Everyone like me.
It's ridiculous. I just had to call him out because that's ridiculous. You're not going to do this one day.
It's your turn.
Do this whole dramatic thing with the, shirt reveal. Jay Williams has not only apologized for the foul, but he's saying he's picking him to win it all. Ridiculous. I mean, we expect nothing less from Jay Williams at that point, but he had to get called out for it today. And he did bring us bad luck in that Tech game 3 DMK. I'm glad you brought that up. So, Jay Williams, this shot is to you. Shots fired.
Cheers. Cheers, my friend. A great shots fired. Kevin always brings the energy on a shots fired.
Whew.
And honestly, I hear you on the whole, I don't really got much for Colorado basketball. I don't got much for Tad Boyle, although, that's a guy that has been a direct rival for quite some time with Arizona basketball. But it's almost like the Tad Boyle story has gotten so sad for so long now that how am I expected to have any hatred, vitriol, actual sort of, anger boiling inside of me for a guy like Tad Boyle who hasn't been relevant to my life and my team's story for, almost a decade at this point. This isn't the same Colorado team that Sean mentioned that beat Arizona in Boulder last time we were number 2. This isn't Xavier Johnson talking mess to Aaron Gordon before a game, being like, he's got another thing coming, and then Aaron Gordon, putting one on his head. I have apathy towards Colorado hoops, but you know what I don't have apathy towards, Kevin?
Oh?
The DNVR Buffs podcast.
Whoa!
Because I'm still not over the whole belt to ass situation. I know I brought it up on the shots fired before. We went to belt to ass on them in football, and I know that football game felt pretty good. But Kevin, I had to watch RK, who is fantastic, by the way, does a great job making content fun. But I watched him take his belt off a mere 2 sections over from me and go belt to ass in my home stadium during the single worst season that I've ever had the displeasure of watching, which was the 2024 Arizona Wildcats football team. A season that broke me. And I'm still not over it. So tonight and every time we play Colorado, it's belt to ass, Kevin. It's belt to ass. And guess what? Yes, this basketball game does exist, despite what you may think by looking at the DNVR Buffs Twitter page. That's one we save for our PHNX Sun Devils guys as well. But basketball is a sport, and it's a great one. Cheers.
A great wise artist. I don't know, actually.
That was fat, Kevin. I told you it was fat shot.
Yeah, Damon poured up a fat shot for himself. Drink responsibly out there, folks. Man, like I say before every ad break, drink your water.
Fantastic,
especially if you're drinking alcohol. But if you do drink tequila, make sure you drink some Casamigos because they support this podcast and we support them. Now,
you taste that smooth vanilla finish, Kevin?
I did indeed taste the smooth vanilla
Shout out
finish
Clooney.
of Casamigos. Now, we have our keys to the game. We have our score predictions remaining. And Damon and I are going to do that after our final break here on the AZ Wildcats pregame pod. Leave a like, stick around. Don't go anywhere. Now, Damon, I got to tell the good people in the chat about our friends over at Arizona Lottery. The Arizona Lottery multiplier scratch-off family is the best way to multiply relaxation, vacation, and I'll say a shopping spree. And with them, you have a ton of variety. Their multiplier scratchers are the perfect way to add to your life because with over $270 million in prizes, you could win big enough to do more of the things you love. And you must, of course, be 21 and over to play. Multiplier tickets start at just $1 and have prizes up to $5 million. So there's the potential to buy a scratch-off for $1 and walk out of a potential Circle K or a Fry's with $5 million in your pocket. With access to over 3,500 retailers across the state, you can play wherever, whenever you'd like.
Shout out to our friends at Arizona Lottery. I know if I won the lottery, Kevin, I'd be buying myself damn near every single Branded Bills colorway, drop, you name it, that they bring out. I mean, whether it's a snapback, a trucker, a fitted, a beanie, or a t-shirt, Branded Bills has got you covered with the ultimate custom apparel, but also the ultimate campus collection. As Arizona Wildcats fans have come to realize that there is no better headwear in the game than Branded Bills. Branded Bills is doing it different when it comes to U of A hats, and they have partnerships with over 40 universities, but, you know, we only care about one over here in Tucson, in this great state of Arizona. Kevin, these Branded Bills hats are so sweet. They're so fresh. They're dropping new looks all the time. They have Galaxy Slam hats that they released within days.
They're so clean.
Within days of the Galaxy Slam, you know, even being announced, Branded Bills was like, bet. We're going to drop some fresh new designs. Kevin and I got our hands on some, and they really are beautiful. We love our friends at Branded Bills, the most comfortable hats I own and also the most stylish. Head on over to brandedbills.com and use promo code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order over at brandedbills.com.
We're back to rocking in the free world. No more ads the rest of the way out here on the pregame show. And we got our keys and our score predictions to wrap it up. This game is imminently approaching, even though it took all the day to get here. It's almost 9 p.m. Let's get to my keys for this game. These ones are a little bit more simple. Key number one, if the bench mob does not get some legitimate playing time in the second half of this game, something has gone extremely awry for Arizona in this matchup. Key number two, you got to crash the glass. These Buffaloes, they cannot offensively rebound. They cannot do it. They do not get second chance points. They just will not do that. We outlined that on the live show yesterday, talking about how Arizona can dominate this matchup and really kind of pull out a Houston-esque performance where Houston just decimated. I think Tad Boyle called it a good old-fashioned ass whooping after that game. Crashing the glass is the key to do that. Key number three, you got to isolate that talented Buffalo backcourt. We talk about Hargress. We talk about Johnson. Hargress can shoot it. Johnson can pass it. That's a great tandem to me, if you ask me, Damon. I do think that if Arizona's going to get this dominant win the way that they want, they're going to win this game regardless. But if they're going to win by 30, 40 points in this matchup, you're going to have to isolate and ice out Isaiah Johnson, deny the ball from him. The buck stops with him. They don't have really a true facilitator outside of him. I think that is the route to doing it. And if you can shut down Hargress's faucet, so to speak, from a three-point perspective, this is wraps, man. We're talking barbecue chicken, Damon.
Yeah, Kevin, I wanted to ask you maybe a couple of things that maybe you're on the lookout for. Like, I'm thinking like specific stats, milestones, like such as, for example, and this may be one that you take, but like you want to see Dwayne Aristote hit 2+ 3-pointers tonight, something like that. What are some things that maybe, you know, you look at this team and you're like, I would like to see some momentum snowballing into the Big 12 tournament, going into elimination play as, you know, games start to be do or die from this point forward, regardless of, you know, what competition you're playing in. So do you have anything in the way of, you know, maybe some of those milestones?
I try to, and I'm going to answer your question, but I'm prefacing it with this. I try to not, and you know this about me, be like, we got to win by X amount of points or else this was a failure. And nothing matters from that win except we didn't get this certain point margin. But today, I kind of feel a little different. I don't know what it is. Maybe this is the not ball nowhere kind of take, but I feel like I really want that 30-plus point margin. I really do. Mm-hmm. I want that 30-plus point margin. I think Arizona can do it. And I want to see them encroach upon the mid-90s range. You don't got to go all the way to 100 like Houston did. You just don't have to do that. I'm not going to say just because Houston put up 102 on Colorado that you got to put up 102. There's a million ways to eat a Reese's, and you can dominate a team without scoring 100. But I do want to see them reach in that borderline 90s, mid-90s range, and I want to see them win by about 30 or more because I think they have the propensity, or not the propensity, I think they have the potential to do that.
I think that counts as one. I know I was talking about specific players, but I think that winning by 25 plus points, 30 plus points is a solid version of that, you know. And I think that, as you said, like the bench mob getting minutes, I think like Evan Nelson, CD Gay pick and roll ball for the final 5 minutes. That's something that I want to see in this game. You know, I know it's not exactly like a hard cut stat, but I want to see a lot of action for maybe the guys on the back end of the rotation, and just maybe some extra rest for, the players that have been, going balls to the wall all season long. From game one, you're playing the national champs to now, like in, last game, you're playing a top 10 team. So, I'd like to see maybe some rest for the starters tonight. But is there anything else that maybe came to mind?
I really love that Dwayne Aristode 2+3s number that you threw out there. Colorado sucks at defending the three. I would love to see Delhi hit 2+3s in this one before he goes to the bench a little bit later in the game. So yeah, I want to see some threes get hit. I want to see Arizona have some fun. I know that sounds really corny, but I do.
That's perfect for what I was just about to say. 2+ alley-oops.
Yeah, I want to see them have fun with it. Yeah, I also want to see Jackson Francois get in the game potentially at the very end and get a bucket. A real bucket. I want to see Jackson Francois size a dude up, go hun, cash. That's what I want to see. And then the bench, I want to get a technical after that. I want the bench to go so crazy. Maybe someone goes and tackles the defender, points at him and goes, "You suck!" Right? That's what I want. That's the last check mark for me. But before we get out of here, Damon, we do have our score predictions. Right? Enough of that. Let's get into the nitty gritty.
Let's get serious for a second.
Oh.
Infinity to 43. I said let's get serious, Kevin. So I'm being serious. I think this is my final score prediction tonight. I've already predicted an infinity this year. It didn't go, I would say, exactly right.
Which game was that?
That was the ASU game, and they were leading at halftime. But yeah, we're going back to it. Infinity to 43. Arizona wins.
And I'm going 98-62. Arizona wins. Pretty much the exact way I described it earlier. I think Arizona has fun offensively. The threes get hidden because Colorado can't defend them. The paint is an absolute war zone in this one for Colorado. Good luck stopping Arizona in this one. 3DMK says 90 whatever to 60 whatever seems legit. White Burrito 99-60 as well.
Realistically, I was gonna say 96-71. So me and you are, I feel like, very much on the same page in terms of what we got going on.
Indeed. Now, one more thing before we get on out of here, Damon. Is there anything that you want to see in particular statistically from this game? You asked me the question. I will throw it back to you before we get on out of here.
No, I think, like I said, I want to see, a lot of bench minutes. I want to see a lot of CD Gay. Give me 6+ points from CD Gay tonight. Let me see, Dwayne Aristode get a lot of run and showcase kind of his skills and maybe some of his development that he hasn't really gotten a chance to showcase because you've been playing just such gauntlet opponents week after week. So that's the kind of stuff I'll be looking out for. Like I said, 2+ alley-oops, maybe a big Mo Krivas game. I don't think Colorado can match Arizona's size or paint presence whatsoever. I feel like, Isaiah Johnson is a good guard and they have some guys who can hit a couple shots from, maybe the mid-range, the outside, but they have no one that, really scares me from a down low perspective whatsoever. So I'd like to see Mo Krivas kind of, do what I think that we begged out for a lot this season. And, I think he's shown a lot of development in, and that's taking advantage of mismatches and opponents that are just clearly have no business, out there guarding him, defending him. So, maybe let's see some Big Mo, thunderous dunks.
Yes, and Brown Bomber 9939 in the chat says most important thing: do not get injured.
Yeah,
you got to get to the tournament healthy.
Bubble wrap.
Yes, and that is what we're getting at with the bench mob. You want to get the starters in, get the starters out, get the starters resting and healthy. And Roberto the Coffee Guy says he wants to see a crossover tween by Addison Arnold, and I would absolutely love that.
Splash.
Owen says we need to get a Chris smooth sounder.
That would be electric.
Why not let it fly? That's a new move. Let's see Addison get 10 points, says Owen. Wow. And McDeath says Mo Thunder, and that Arizona wins as Mo a money. Prediction as well. Mo Money, Mo McDeath, Mo wins for the Arizona Wildcats. Damon, let's get out of here and watch this damn game.
Let's watch this basketball game. It's 9 o'clock, and that means it's time for some basketball for the Arizona Wildcats. It's going to be a late one, but Kevin and I are going to be rocking with you the entire time. We're going live for post-game 10 minutes after that final buzzer sounds, so be right here on this very same channel. And in the meantime, follow us or for all of our takes during the game, all of our jokes, all of our memes. I'm at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. He is at Kevo Post. That's KEVOPOSTS. And we are at PHNX_Wildcats on all social media. If you're not a diehard, join the Discord. We're going to be in the Discord, hanging out, celebrating, popping some champagne for a Big 12 winning season in the way of going belt to ass on the Colorado Buffaloes, like only the Arizona Wildcats know how. For Damon, for Kevin, for everybody here at PHNX Sports, we'll see you on the post game. Until then, peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. Jay Williams. Jay Williams. It doesn't matter if I get your name right. You're a pandering fraud. Who cares?
We all silly like the mayor.